A tiny alien girl called me, human, and her mother is watching. The crash had been violent, throwing the pilot from one side of the cockpit to the other. The ship's emergency lights flickered on, casting an eerie red glow as the systems beeped and whined, attempting to restart. Gasping for breath, the pilot, Marcus, pushed himself upright, his head still spinning from the impact. His hands trembled slightly as he wiped the blood trickling from a small cut on his forehead. "Damn it!" he muttered under his breath, looking out the cracked viewport. The landscape outside was alien, an endless stretch of dry, jagged rocks and tall, towering trees that seemed to sway unnaturally despite the stillness of the air. His ship had been hit during a skirmish on the edge of known space, and he'd crash-landed here, on a planet that wasn't on any map. The closest space station was light years away, and even if he could somehow get the ship running again, it would take him months to reach it. He leaned back in the pilot's seat, trying to catch his breath. The ship was beyond repair for now, but if he could find a way to survive long enough to send a distress signal, he might be able to get out of here. His stomach growled, reminding him that food would be a problem too. He needed to get moving. Grabbing his survival pack and a rifle, Marcus climbed out of the wreckage, his boots crunching on the alien soil. As he stepped outside, the sun, pale and distant in the sky, cast long shadows across the uneven terrain. The air was dry, tinged with the scent of unfamiliar plant life, and the temperature was already climbing. It was a harsh environment, but Marcus had been through worse. He surveyed his surroundings, trying to get a sense of where to go. The dense forest stretched for miles, but he could see what looked like a small ravine in the distance, a potential water source, perhaps. His first instinct was to head there to find supplies, but something tugged at him. There was something in the air, a strange energy that he couldn't quite place, like he was being watched. Shrugging it off as paranoia, Marcus started walking toward the ravine, his rifle held loosely at his side. As he moved deeper into the alien wilderness, the trees seemed to grow taller, their branches twisting and reaching out like hands trying to grab him. The forest was silent, too silent. No birds, no animals, just the occasional rustle of wind in the leaves. And then he saw her. A small figure stepped out from behind one of the towering trees, so quietly that Marcus didn't hear her approach. She was a girl, no taller than his waist, with large, wide eyes that gleamed with an otherworldly curiosity. Her skin was a soft, pale blue, and her hair shimmered in the light, almost silver in appearance. She wore a simple, tattered cloth around her waist, barely enough to cover her. Her ears were pointed, giving her an almost elf-like appearance. Marcus froze, unsure of what to make of the creature before him. She wasn't human, that much was obvious, but she was also clearly sentient. Her gaze fixed on him with intensity, like she was trying to understand what he was. "Human," she said softly, her voice high-pitched and almost musical. Marcus blinked in confusion. The word seemed so out of place. Human? How did she know what a human was? He was still processing the surprise of seeing a creature so small and unfamiliar when he noticed something else, movement in the shadows behind her. A tall, imposing figure stepped into view. The alien woman was at least 7 feet tall, her body covered in intricately designed armor that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. Her face was stern, but her eyes, the same pale blue as the girl's, held a calm, almost otherworldly wisdom. She was watching him, but not with the same curiosity as the girl. This was different. This was a gaze of power. The tiny girl turned to look at the woman, who nodded slightly. There was a strange understanding between them, a bond that Marcus couldn't quite comprehend. "Who are you?" Marcus asked cautiously, his voice steady but laced with confusion. The girl's eyes brightened at the question. "I am Name," she said simply, the name foreign to his ears. "And you are human," Marcus frowned. "Yeah, I'm human," he said, trying to make sense of the situation. "But how do you know that, and where am I?" The girl tilted her head as if considering his question carefully. "You are on my planet," she said, a note of pride in her voice. "But you do not belong here." Before Marcus could respond, the towering alien woman stepped forward. Her presence was commanding, almost oppressive, as she regarded him with a quiet intensity. "I am her mother," the woman said, her voice deep and resonant, yet not unkind. "And you are trespassing on our land." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "I didn't ask for this crash landing, lady," he said, his tone defensive. "I need to find a way off this planet, not to get into any more trouble." The woman's expression didn't change, but there was a slight flicker of something in her eyes, an emotion that Marcus couldn't quite place. "You may find your way off, but you will not leave untouched," she said cryptically. "Untouched," Marcus repeated, a hint of unease creeping into his voice. "What are you talking about?" The girl stepped forward again, looking up at him with those large, innocent eyes. "You are human. You carry something special with you," she said softly. "My mother has been searching for you." The woman's gaze sharpened at her daughter's words, but she did not correct her. Instead, she spoke again, this time with a subtle undercurrent of warning. "You will come with us. There are things you need to understand about your kind and this world." Marcus didn't like the sound of that, but he knew he had little choice. His ship was useless, and if he was going to survive here, he had to know more about the planet and these strange beings. And that meant going with them. With a resigned sigh, Marcus nodded. "Lead the way," he said, keeping his eyes on the woman. He didn't trust her, but he didn't have many options. As they walked deeper into the forest, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more going on here, something far more dangerous than he could understand. The tiny girl's words lingered in his mind. "You carry something special with you." And then, as the mother led them forward, Marcus realized the truth. He was no longer just a stranded pilot. He was something much more, something they wanted. And whatever it was about to change everything. The journey through the alien forest was silent except for the occasional rustle of leaves as the wind moved through the towering trees. The girl walked ahead, her bare feet barely making a sound on the soft, moss-covered ground. Marcus followed, keeping a safe distance from the towering alien woman whose every step seemed to shake the earth beneath her. The air had a strange, metallic scent, and the farther they walked, the more oppressive the silence became. There were no birds, no insects, not even the distant sound of a breeze rustling through the branches. It was as if the planet itself was holding its breath. Marcus couldn't help but feel the weight of the alien woman's presence. She moved with an authority that seemed to demand respect, though she had yet to say anything else since their brief conversation. The girl, however, had been more than talkative, speaking in cryptic riddles about humans and their place in the universe. "Why did you bring me here?" Marcus finally asked, breaking the silence. His voice was steady, but inside he was beginning to feel uneasy. "What do you want from me?" The alien woman's head turned just slightly, her sharp, glowing eyes studying him for a moment before she answered in a low voice. "You have something we need, something you don't even know you carry." Marcus frowned. "Something I carry?" His eyes went to the small pack slung over his shoulder. "I don't know what you're talking about." The girl, walking ahead, turned back to look at him. "Not that," she said softly, almost as if she was speaking to herself. "Not in the bag." "It's in you." She paused for a moment, her eyes flickering with an emotion Marcus couldn't quite read. "You don't even know, do you?" Marcus narrowed his eyes, his pulse quickening. "Know what?" The girl's gaze softened. "You'll find out soon enough." The alien woman gave a slight nod, signaling that it was time to keep moving. Marcus didn't press her for more answers. He had learned in his years of exploration that sometimes the best way to survive was to play along, at least until he could figure out what was going on. The path grew steeper as they walked, the trees becoming denser and the air thicker. The ground underfoot seemed to pulse with energy, a faint hum that made Marcus feel like he was walking on the edge of something ancient, something far older than anything he had ever encountered. There was power in this place, raw, untapped power, and Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that it was waiting for something or someone to awaken it. Finally, they reached a clearing, and what lay ahead made Marcus's breath catch in his throat. Before him stood a massive structure. No, it was more than just a building. It was a monument carved directly into the side of a mountain. The architecture was unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. The stone was black, almost obsidian-like, and it glowed faintly, as if it had its own inner light. The edges of the structure were adorned with strange symbols, twisting patterns that seemed to move when he wasn't looking directly at them. The air around it buzzed with an energy that sent a chill down his spine. "This is where we live," the girl said, her voice soft as she gazed at the structure with awe. "This is our home." Marcus didn't know how to respond. He had seen many alien worlds in his time as an explorer, but nothing like this. The technology here seemed to blend seamlessly with the natural environment, as if it had grown out of the very earth itself. There was something deeply unsettling about it, as though it wasn't just a place. It was a living entity, alive with some kind of purpose. The alien woman stepped forward, her long strides taking her to the entrance of the monument. She turned briefly to look at Marcus. "Come," she said, her voice calm and commanding. "You have much to learn." Marcus hesitated, but the girl looked back at him, her eyes filled with a strange mixture of fear and anticipation. It was clear that she wanted him to follow, and for some reason he couldn't bring himself to refuse. He stepped forward, entering the monument. The interior was just as eerie as the outside, if not more so. The walls were made of the same black stone, and they curved in impossible angles, making the place feel disorienting, as if it was shifting around him. There was no obvious source of light, yet the space was bathed in a soft glow that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. At the center of the vast chamber was a massive pool of liquid, glowing faintly with a blue light. It looked like some kind of energy source, but there was no way of telling what it was or how it worked. The woman and the girl walked toward it, and Marcus followed. "This is the source of our power," the woman said, her voice filled with reverence. "And this is what you are meant to unlock." Marcus stared at the pool, feeling a wave of unease wash over him. He didn't understand what she meant. What did they want him to do? He wasn't a scientist, and he sure as hell wasn't a magician. There was no way he could unlock whatever this was. It was beyond his comprehension. The girl turned to him, her face serious now. "You don't understand yet, do you?" she asked softly. "You're not just here by accident, you were chosen." "Chosen for what?" Marcus asked, frustration creeping into his voice. The woman turned to face him, her expression unreadable. "You are the key to everything," she said simply. "Without you, we cannot restore what was lost." "What was lost?" Marcus asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The woman's eyes darkened, and for the first time there was a trace of something like fear in her gaze. "That," she said, gesturing toward the pool, "is the legacy of our ancestors. And without the human blood that you carry, it will remain dormant forever." Marcus's mind raced. Human blood? What was she talking about? And why was he the one who had to unlock whatever this was? Before he could ask another question, the girl stepped closer to him, her voice barely audible. "You don't have a choice," she said. "You will either help us, or we will never be able to save ourselves." Marcus looked between the two of them, his heart pounding in his chest. It was clear that they were serious. The question was, what could he possibly do to help them? What did they want from him, really? Marcus stood frozen, his gaze fixed on the pool of glowing liquid in front of him. The air felt heavy, thick with an energy he couldn't explain. The two alien figures before him, the girl and her mother, were waiting for him to understand something he couldn't yet comprehend. His mind raced with questions, but no answers came. "What do you want me to do?" Marcus finally asked, his voice low, almost a whisper. He was beginning to feel like he was in way over his head. The weight of their expectations was almost suffocating, and he had no idea how to fulfill what they seemed to think was his role. The alien woman, her dark eyes shimmering with intensity, looked at him with an unreadable expression. "You are the key to what is buried here," she said softly. "Human blood carries something our species has lost, a connection to a power that once flowed through our veins. We can no longer access it, but you can." Marcus shook his head, trying to process her words. "What exactly do you mean? What is this power, and why does it involve me?" The girl, her eyes filled with a quiet urgency, stepped closer to him. "You carry it inside you. You always have, and you've never known." Her voice was soft, yet there was a note of fear in it, as though she wasn't entirely sure how it would all unfold. "The blood that runs through your veins, it's the same as ours. We lost it generations ago, and now we need it back. We need you to unlock what was sealed away." Marcus felt a shiver run down his spine. "You want me to unlock something? What exactly? How am I supposed to do that? I'm just a guy who crashed on your planet. I don't know anything about unlocking ancient powers." The alien woman stepped forward, her presence imposing as she towered over Marcus. Her voice was low, full of ancient wisdom. "You are not just a guy," she said, her eyes meeting his with an intensity that sent a chill through him. "You are something much more. You are the vessel that will awaken the power we need. Our people, we are dying. We have forgotten how to connect to the force that once gave us life. Without it, we wither away. But you are the key to bringing it back." Marcus took a step back, his mind racing. This was insane. He couldn't be the answer to whatever it was they were trying to unlock. He was a human, just a man who had crash-landed on a strange planet. There had to be some mistake. How could his blood, his humanity, hold the key to their survival? I don't understand, Marcus said, his voice filled with disbelief. Why me? Why is it my blood? I don't have anything special about me. The girl gave him a soft, almost sad smile. You do not know what you are, do you? She said gently. You are the descendant of those who once shared this power. Long ago, our ancestors were connected to the universe in ways you can't even imagine. But that connection was severed. Only humans, your kind, still carry a trace of that power. That is why you are here. That is why you were chosen. Marcus felt a knot form in his stomach. Chosen? This didn't make sense. He wasn't some kind of ancient being or special savior. He was just a survivor of a crash. So what happens if I don't help you? What will happen to you? He asked, trying to sound calm, though the growing anxiety in his chest made his words tremble. The alien woman's gaze softened slightly. If you do not help us, we will die. Our people are already fading. We cannot survive much longer without what you hold inside you. She paused, as though weighing her words carefully. And if you do not help us, the power will slip further away. It may never return. The room seemed to grow colder as the weight of her words sank in. Marcus looked at the pool again, the faint blue glow swirling with a life of its own. There was something so ancient, so raw about it. He could feel it calling to him, but he didn't understand why or how. Was it possible that this was real? Was he truly the key to saving them? He turned his gaze back to the alien woman. So you want me to give you my blood? Is that it? Just let you do whatever you want with it. His voice was sharp now, the rising panic making him feel more and more out of control. No, the woman said firmly, stepping closer. It is not just your blood. It is your essence, your connection to the universe that you do not yet understand. Her voice was steady, but there was an urgency to it now, as though time was running out. The blood will open the door, yes, but it is you who must walk through it. You must accept what you are meant to become. Marcus swallowed hard. This was too much. His mind spun with confusion and doubt. How could he be the one to save them? How could his blood, something so simple, be the answer to such an immense question? I don't know if I can do this, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I don't even understand what's happening. The girl looked at him, her expression softening. You don't have to understand it all right now, but you will in time. You are the one who will restore balance. You have always been the one. Marcus shook his head, stepping back. I'm just trying to survive. I don't have any answers for you. I don't know how to help you. His heart raced as he began to realize that he might not have a choice. Whatever it was they needed, he was the one they thought could give it to them. The alien woman stepped forward, her hands resting gently on his shoulders. You are not alone in this, she said quietly. You are not the first to carry this burden. But you may be the last who can still save us. The power inside you, Marcus, it is not something to fear. It is something to embrace. Marcus looked at her, the weight of her words settling over him like a cloak. There was no escape. He had been brought here for a reason, and he had to face it. Whether he understood it or not, he was a part of something much bigger than himself. I don't know how to do this, Marcus said, his voice trembling, but I'll try. The alien woman nodded. That is all we ask, try. And trust in what is within you. Marcus stood in silence for a moment, his mind swirling with thoughts and questions. There was no going back now. He had to move forward. Whether he liked it or not, he was the key to whatever ancient force was tied to this place, and to their survival. Taking a deep breath, he stepped toward the glowing pool. The energy within it seemed to call to him, its pull undeniable. For the first time, Marcus felt the weight of the task ahead. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about awakening something ancient, something powerful, something that could change everything. He had no idea what would happen next, but he knew one thing for sure. His life would never be the same. Marcus stood before the glowing pool, his heart pounding in his chest. Every instinct told him to step back, to run, to find a way out of this strange, alien place. But he couldn't. The pull of the energy before him was too strong, too compelling. It wasn't just the power of the pool. It was the power of the ancient words spoken by the alien woman, the promise that he was the key to saving their dying world. He could feel it deep inside, that strange, alien energy tugging at something within him. It was as if his blood had been awakened, as if something had been stirred inside him that had always been there but was waiting for the right moment. What happens now? Marcus asked, his voice thick with uncertainty. His gaze shifted between the alien woman and the girl. They were both watching him closely, their eyes filled with hope and anticipation, but also something darker, something like fear. The alien woman stepped forward, her presence overwhelming as she moved to stand beside him. She placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch cool but grounding. "Now you must choose," she said softly. "You must allow yourself to accept what you are meant to become. You are not just a human, Marcus. You are the link to a forgotten power, the bridge between our world and the universe that once embraced us." Marcus swallowed hard, trying to steady his breath. It felt like the ground beneath him was shifting, like the entire world was suddenly spinning out of control. "I don't understand," he said, his voice shaky. "I'm just a man. I'm not some kind of chosen one. I don't even know what you want from me." The girl, who had been silent until now, stepped closer. Her eyes shone with an unspoken understanding. "You have always had the power," she said softly. "It is in your blood, you just don't know how to use it yet." Marcus turned to look at her. The words she spoke were haunting, the weight of them pressing down on him. "But what if I can't do it?" he asked, his voice barely more than a whisper. "What if I'm not what you think I am? What if I can't help you?" The alien woman's gaze softened. "That is why you are here," she said, her tone gentle but firm. "You are the last hope. The power you carry is not something that can be learned or taught. It is something that must be awakened from within. It has always been within you." Marcus shook his head, his mind a whirl of confusion. "I don't feel anything," he said, his voice rising in frustration. "I don't feel any power. I don't know what you're talking about." The alien woman's eyes darkened, and for a moment Marcus saw something else in her gaze, a flicker of something ancient, something almost sad. She stepped back, and the girl took her place beside him. Her expression was still serious, but there was a kind of gentle understanding in her eyes. "Look within," she said quietly, her voice a soft murmur. "You are not alone in this. You are the last of your kind who carries this blood, but you are not the first to awaken it. There were others before you, those who knew how to harness its power, how to use it to save our people. But they are gone now. You must take their place." Marcus closed his eyes, trying to focus, to find something within himself that would answer her call. He tried to push aside the doubt, the fear that had been building inside him, and instead he focused on the deep, slow beat of his heart. At first there was nothing, just the steady rhythm of his pulse. But then, as his focus sharpened, he felt something shift, a twinge, a whisper of power deep within him. It was faint at first, like the smallest spark of energy, but it was there. He could feel it stirring in his veins, moving beneath his skin like a living thing. Marcus's eyes flew open as the power surged through him, his whole body trembling with the sudden intensity of it. The glow of the pool seemed to grow brighter, casting strange shadows across the room. The air around him seemed to crackle with energy, and for a moment Marcus thought he might be consumed by it. His breath caught in his throat as the power flooded his senses, overwhelming him. "Marcus," the girl said, her voice trembling with a mixture of awe and fear. "It's working, you're unlocking it." Marcus's vision blurred, and the world around him seemed to bend and twist. He could see flashes of images, memories that were not his own, moments of a forgotten time when the alien people had been powerful, when they had harnessed the energy that now pulsed inside him. He saw visions of their ancestors, their great cities, their people united in their knowledge and power. But then the images shifted, darkening. He saw the destruction, the betrayal, the loss. Their power had been taken from them, severed, and the remnants of it had been sealed away. And now it was here within him. Marcus's breath came in short, sharp gasps as the power surged again, stronger this time. His chest ached as it felt like his very bones were vibrating with the force of it. He could feel it, the pulse of the ancient energy deep within him trying to break free. "Focus," the alien woman's voice echoed in his mind. "Focus, Marcus, you must control it." But Marcus didn't know how. It was too much, too overwhelming. The energy threatened to consume him, to tear him apart. He staggered, nearly falling to his knees as the force of it nearly drove him mad. The pool of glowing liquid in front of him swirled, reacting to the power that was now coursing through him. "Help me," he gasped, the words slipping from his lips in desperation. "I can't." The alien woman stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder, her touch grounding him. "You are not alone," she said, her voice calm and steady. "You are not alone in this." Her words brought him some comfort, and with that he focused, trying to calm the storm within him. Slowly, the energy began to stabilize, the pulsing inside his body settling into a more controlled rhythm. The visions faded and the pressure in his chest eased. When Marcus opened his eyes, the world felt different, lighter almost. The energy was still there, but now it felt like something he could control, something he could use. It was no longer overwhelming, it was part of him, a piece of himself that had been waiting to be unlocked. He looked at the alien woman and the girl, his chest still heaving from the intensity of the experience. "I don't know what I did," he said, his voice hoarse. "But I feel different. I feel stronger." The girl smiled, her eyes shining with relief. "You have done it," she said softly. "You have unlocked the power. You are the key." Marcus looked at the pool, its glow now faint, the energy inside it calmed. He could still feel the power inside him, but now it was controlled. It was his to wield, his to use. But the question remained, what would he do with it? Marcus stood there, his hands trembling as he tried to process everything that had just happened. The power that had surged through him was still fresh in his mind, the feeling of it alive in his veins. He looked at the alien woman and the girl, their expressions a mixture of awe and expectation, as though they were waiting for him to make the next move. The weight of it all pressed down on him. He was the key, the one who had unlocked the power they needed to survive. But what did that mean for him? What did it mean for them? The choices he had to make were as heavy as the power now coursing through his body. The alien woman stepped forward, her eyes still locked onto him, and Marcus felt a strange connection between them. She had spoken of the dying world, the fading power, but now, in the silence that stretched between them, he realized there was something more. They weren't just hoping for salvation, they were depending on him. The fate of their people rested on his shoulders. "You have done it," she said quietly, her voice calm, but there was something deeper in it, a sense of relief mixed with a powerful sense of responsibility. "You have unlocked the power that will restore us." Marcus shook his head. "I didn't unlock anything on my own," he said, his voice rough. "It wasn't just me, I don't even understand what it is." The girl, who had been standing silently beside him, looked up at him, her eyes wide with admiration. "You understand more than you think. The power has always been inside you. It was always waiting for you to awaken it, and now you must guide it." "Guide it?" Marcus repeated, looking at her. "What does that even mean?" The alien woman placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch warm and reassuring. "The power you carry is not meant to be controlled by force," she said, her voice steady but filled with an ancient wisdom. "It is a force of nature. It flows through everything, the world, the stars, the very fabric of existence itself. And now you are the vessel for it." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. "A vessel?" The word echoed in his mind, and he felt the weight of it. The thought of being the vessel for something so powerful, so ancient, was both exhilarating and terrifying. "What do I do now?" The alien woman's eyes softened, and she looked at him with a kind of understanding that made Marcus feel as though she knew exactly what he was going through. "Now you must choose," she said. "The power you carry can be used to restore our people, to heal the broken connections between us and the universe. Or you can use it for yourself, to leave this world and return to your own. The choice is yours." Marcus looked down at his hands, his mind racing. The power inside him, the energy that had surged through him earlier, was still there. It was a part of him now. But what did it mean? What was he supposed to do with it? His mind flashed back to the crash landing, to the moment when he had realized he was stranded on a strange, alien world. He had only wanted to survive, to find a way out. But now, the stakes were so much higher. The girl's voice interrupted his thoughts. "The power is not just for saving our world," she said softly. "It is a gift, Marcus, a gift that can change the course of everything. You are the one who can bridge the gap between our people and the universe. You are the one who can bring us back." His heart raced as he considered her words. This was bigger than anything he had ever faced. The weight of their expectations, of their hope, was almost too much to bear. He wasn't a savior. He wasn't some chosen hero. He was just a man who had stumbled into something far beyond his comprehension. "I don't know if I can do this," Marcus said, his voice low, barely above a whisper. "I don't know if I'm the right person for this." The alien woman gave him a soft, knowing smile. "You are the only one who can do this," she said gently. "You were chosen because you are the link. The power inside you has always been a part of you. Now it is time for you to embrace it." Marcus stood there in silence, his thoughts swirling. The girl was right. He had always felt different, out of place. And now he understood why. He wasn't just human, he was something more. He was the key to something ancient, something that could change the fate of an entire species. But was he ready for that responsibility? He took a deep breath, feeling the energy inside him calm as he focused on it. It was like a pulse, a rhythm that he could feel deep within his chest. It was no longer overwhelming. He could feel it, controlled, steady. It was his to command, but only if he chose to embrace it. "All right," Marcus said, his voice more confident now, stronger than it had been moments before. "I'll help you, I'll do what I can." The alien woman nodded, her expression filled with a quiet relief. "Thank you," she said simply. The girl smiled, her eyes shining with hope. "You have chosen wisely, Marcus. Together we will restore what was lost." Marcus looked at the pool again, its glow now faint but steady. He could feel the power within him, the energy that had once been a distant, unknowable force, now grounded and real. He wasn't just a man anymore, he was something else, something more. And with that realization, a sense of purpose filled him, one that he had never felt before. "I'll do my best," he said, his voice firm. "But I don't know how this will end, I don't know if it will work." The alien woman smiled. "No one ever does, but that is the nature of this power. It is unpredictable. It can be used for good or ill, depending on the heart of the one who wields it." Marcus nodded, his mind clearer now. The path ahead was uncertain, but he knew one thing for sure. He couldn't turn back now. Whatever this power was, whatever it could do, he was the one who had to wield it. And with that responsibility, he would either succeed or fail. There was no other choice. "Let's get to work," he said, his voice steady. "Together." The alien woman and the girl stepped forward, their faces filled with resolve. The power had been unlocked. Now it was time to see what it could do. And as Marcus looked at the ancient structure before him, he knew that this was just the beginning. The world around him was changing, and he would either rise to the challenge or be consumed by it. But whatever happened, he was ready to face it. He had no other choice.